Joe Tate has taken another step in his scheme, remaining focused on getting closer to Kim Tate's wealth and property. Earlier in the week, Graham Foster gave Joe a copy of Kim's will after secretly removing it from the safe. While going through the paperwork, Joe assumed that Home Farm would be left to him, convinced it was his rightful inheritance. However, he was stunned to discover that Kim intends for Lydia Dingle to inherit Home Farm after her death. Although Joe kept his anger under control, Graham was pleased, seeing it as proof that Joe was finally recognizing Kim's true nature. In Tuesday's episode, Lydia arrived at the house ready to begin her cleaning duties, but Joe snapped at her for being slightly late. In reality, he wasn't bothered about the dishwasher still being full, or Lydia working slower than usual. He was frustrated and jealous about what he had read in the will. Graham reminded him that Lydia had no influence over Kim's generous decision, so directing his anger at her was pointless. He also stressed that Kim is the one in control, and if Joe wants to act, he must focus on her, but in a smart way. Later that evening, Joe went to the pub, apologized to Lydia for his behavior, and even offered her a pay rise. While Lydia thought it was a positive thing to be working at Home Farm so she could keep an eye on Joe, Graham had already figured out what was really going on. He realized that Joe plans to take advantage of Lydia's close bond with Kim. In the latest episode, Joe's next move was revealed as he opened a bank account in Lydia's name. This raises questions about his true intentions. Is he planning to give her a large amount of money so she might no longer care about inheriting Home Farm? And if this strategy fails, how far is Joe willing to go to make sure he ends up with the estate once Kim is gone? Emmerdale preview teases intense Cain and Charity confrontation in special episode. Emmerdale has unveiled an early clip from Cain and Charity Dingle's upcoming two-hander episode, hinting at serious tension between the former couple. The much-loved pair will be at the heart of next Wednesday's episode on the 25th of March, where Charity steps in to support Cain as he begins to struggle emotionally. Cain is going through an incredibly difficult time after being diagnosed with prostate cancer. To make matters worse, his wife Moira is not by his side, as she remains in prison for crimes she didn't commit. The family has also been forced to give up Butler's farm after Moira reluctantly sold it to the Tates. In scenes set to air next week, Cain vents his anger at his brother Sam, whose mistake threatens their plans for a new Dingle farm. After their argument, Cain storms off, and a worried Charity follows him home, confronting him about his heavy drinking. In the preview, Cain reacts angrily and becomes defensive when Charity challenges him, sarcastically questioning why he should take advice from someone he considers a complete disaster. Charity fires back, pointing out that he lashes out whenever he's confronted, and reminds him that he's not the only person to have faced cancer. Hinting at her own personal struggles, Charity suggests that she is also dealing with serious issues. When Cain pushes her to reveal what's going on, it remains unclear whether she will admit that the baby she is expecting is not Sarah and Jacob's. He also shared his appreciation for working alongside talented female co-stars throughout his time on the show, mentioning Emma Atkins, Natalie J. Robb, Lucy Pargeter, Charlie Webb, and Katie Hill, and adding that their presence makes his work much easier. Cain lashes out at Sam in Emmerdale as a blunder ruins key plans. The much-loved character was diagnosed with prostate cancer earlier this year and has since spiraled, struggling to come to terms with the life-altering news. As part of his downward spiral, Cain resorted to stealing cars with Sarah Sugden and picking arguments with almost anyone who crossed his path. For a time, only Sarah and Liam Kavanagh knew about his diagnosis, and both encouraged him to confide in Moira Dingle. However, Cain was determined to keep her in the dark. Things shifted when Cain realized his behavior was affecting Sarah's marriage to Jacob Gallagher. After speaking with Liam, he finally decided to tell Moira the truth. The episode, where he revealed both his illness and the situation with Butler's farm, was deeply emotional. Since then, he has moved into wishing well with the boys, but still struggles with opening up to his family. It's not that Cain doesn't appreciate their concern. He simply finds it difficult to be vulnerable and talk about his emotions. His situation worsens in the coming week when he attends a support group for men with prostate cancer. However, he leaves early after overhearing someone complain about their relationship following the diagnosis, which triggers his own fears. When Cain returns home, he discovers that Sam Dingle has forgotten an important meeting about farm machinery. Already overwhelmed, Cain reacts furiously and storms off. Charity Dingle follows him back and finds him drinking. She urges him to take care of himself, but Cain loses his temper again, throwing a whiskey bottle across the room and smashing Zach's tankard. There is a small breakthrough when Cain admits to Charity that he has been trying, and failing, to hold Moira's life together while she has been in prison. Looking for an escape, Cain begins reminiscing about his past with Charity and makes an inappropriate move towards her. Cain attempting to charm his own cousin highlights just how much he is struggling mentally. Actor Jeff Hordley described Cain as being on the edge, explaining that his desperate actions, such as involving his granddaughter in car theft despite her responsibilities, show how far he has been pushed. He added that the illness has taken a huge toll on Cain, who is trying to deal with multiple pressures at once, including saving the farm, securing Moira's release from prison, reuniting the family, and coping with his cancer diagnosis. With so much weighing on him, Cain is behaving in ways he normally wouldn't, showing just how close he is to breaking point. Joe clashes with Robert after dropping shocking news in Emmerdale spoiler clip. Joe Tate continues to cause trouble for Robert Sugden in Emmerdale next week, showing up at Butler's farm with some unwelcome news. After Moira Dingle sold her shares in the farm to Kim Tate, Joe wasted no time stirring drama by revealing to the Dingles that Robert had taken over as the new tenant farmer. Cain Dingle expected Aaron Dingle to turn against Robert and stand with his family, but Aaron refused to walk away. Aaron understood how much the farm meant to Robert and chose to support him, which has created serious tension within the Dingle family, who feel the pair have let them down. As Robert settles into his new role running Butler's, he hopes for some stability, but that quickly disappears. A new clip shows Joe arriving and bluntly informing him that he plans to sell the herd of cows. It's a very typical move from Joe. Emmerdale airs on weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and is also available to stream on ITVX.